Hello and welcome to another episode of Cascadia Mountain Weather. My name is Kyle McCrowan and I'm here with Wyatt Mullen and we're looking at snow.
Yeah. So, as opposed to kind of the previous weeks, where we've really been drier than normal, been waiting for the rain to finally come, well, the rain has arrived and also the snow in the high elevations. Right now, we're looking at some snow that fell a couple inches at Crystal Mountain. We can go up north to Whistler. This is the summit of Whistler at about 7,000 feet. We can drop down to the Blackcomb. This is about 6,000 feet. You'll notice how much that snow changes as you go up in elevation. So you might not see much snow at 5,000 feet. You might see hints at 6,000, and by 7,000, you might be in full winter time. This is Cayuse Pass in Washington from earlier today. So the snow is definitely around. If you're in the area, one thing that you may have noticed about this past week is that the rains are here. So many areas have picked up. The lowlands, Seattle picked up about 3 inches, at least so far for this month, puts it in kind of the top 10 wettest Septembers on record. But you can look that you can see that the mountains have picked up substantially more than that. Mount Baker area has picked up almost 10 inches of rain, as well as the Olympics. And that's the general idea, is that 3 to 5 to almost 10 inches in the higher elevations. This map shows kind of how we've departed from normal. So in the last 2 weeks, we've seen a little bit wetter than normal, especially in kind of this Olympic area. It's been significantly wetter than normal. Transitioning to current conditions, we can look at the radar for tonight and see that we still have some precipitation in this convergent zone and some showers moving to the south as well, but these should all clear up by the morning. And really for this week, we are looking at, if you need to know like the general overview, we're looking at clear and cold. So we're going to be about 5 to 10 degrees below average. It'll be warming up as the weekend progresses, because right now we're in quite a deep trough. And then we'll get a little bit of warming as we move towards Sunday. So if we look at the forecast once again for that 5,000 foot level near Snoqualmie Pass, we'll see that the chance of snow is still around, but that should really clear up as we move into the day tomorrow. It is going to be chilly. The highs will barely break 40, especially in the upper elevations in the 6,000 to 7,000 foot range. And the warm, maybe by the end of the weekend, they'll make it into the 50s. But the most important thing to notice is that it will be cold in the mornings. So most of the mornings are going to be freezing, especially above 3,000 feet. Currently, many people might be thinking about heading over to the enchantments. The enchantments, which peak out at about 8,000 feet at about Asgard Pass, will be frigid. So the temperatures might not even break freezing on Friday, and the low temperatures are in the mid 20s. It will warm by the end of the weekend, but just something to keep in mind. So I'm going to pass it off to Kyle, who you can tell us a little bit about the snow that's fallen so far.
So this map shows an estimated snow depth over different parts of the Cascades and Olympics. This isn't like guaranteed, but it's an estimate based on what we've seen. So most of the areas have generally anywhere from 1 to 3, maybe 4 inches above probably 6,000 feet, maybe 7,000. But you can see the higher areas and the volcanoes, especially, have anywhere from 8 to 12 inches. And that's very reasonable. We also have heard reports from today that there's close to a foot of fresh snow at Asgard Pass in the enchantments. So all this fresh snow, you should definitely take into consideration for planning a weekend hike. Think about, keeping your feet warm, keeping your body warm, having extra socks, maybe waterproof footwear. And then also trails and scrambling can become really dicey and icy, especially if it warms up during the day, then goes back below freezing at night, and then you're back on that trail that's been compacted and refrozen. So sometimes microspikes can be really helpful. If you don't have those, that might be worth picking up a pair.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of people, if you're familiar with the area or new to the area, might be kind of headed out on the Larch March. It's almost October, and so that means that we are starting to see those larches turn. This was from a trail run last night in that Heather Maple Pass area. You can see that the larches, especially those lower elevation larches, are just starting to turn, but they still have quite a bit of green on them. What do you think about some of the higher elevation larches?
I think this weekend will be pretty close to prime for a lot of different areas. This is a photo from Kolchak Lake in past years. So the further north and east you get in higher elevations, I think the larches will be really, really good. And then if you go further west and south and lower, the larches won't be quite there. Maybe it'll be next weekend. So this is an excellent map that Sherlyn made of larches. And she also has a great larch guide to different hikes in Washington. We'll link that in our comments. So out in the Pasayten Wilderness in the north, kind of northeast corner, and the Chelan Sawtooth and probably the Enchantments, I think the larches will be really, really good, kind of full peak color. But then in areas like the Teanaway or the Chewaucum or Rainy Pass, those areas west of Rainy Pass, especially in the North Cascades, those larches will still be a little more green, but still really great regardless.
Awesome. So, yeah, looking a little bit longer term, we have been in this rainy pattern, and it's starting to look like, especially after this upcoming week, we might transition back into a drier than normal pattern and a warmer than normal pattern. So, it's a little bit hard to say at this time. We still have to get through a couple bouts of rain in this upcoming week, but those are the trends that the trends are starting to go that way. So, we might end up getting 2 good weekends in a row in October, which is doesn't happen every year.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Wyatt. And thank you to our listeners for listening to another episode of Cascadia Mountain Weather. Please subscribe for future episodes, and we hope you have a great weekend out there.